Hello and welcome to Library Salad. Today's episode is homemade candles and it's brought to you by the Monroeville Public Library in Pennsylvania. Hi, I'm Alice. We're going to talk about candles, toss around some ideas about that, and it is a very big industry. Even according to the American Candle Association, that 3.14 billion candle products are sold every year. What we're going to do today is I'm going to do a really simple candle, and if you find that it comes out great for you and you want to do a little bit something more intricate, let me know in the comments. If I get enough people saying yes, let's just bump this up, I'll do another episode, something yet to be determined. Anyway, so interesting fact. Candles have been around for a long time. We are talking going back to about 500 BC. They were more of a necessity back then for lighting purposes, and they were made of animal fat. Now, with that, in those days, even in case of famine, candles were actually stolen because people could eat the candles because they were made. That's just a lot of wind going on. We're having some really incredible wind and rain to be soon. Let's see how those lights go. So
that's why we need candles.
That's why we need candles. See that? That would really make a lot of sense. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see if we can get the candle done by that time. But as time progressed, the candles on a cake were done in Greece, but it was really the reason having to do with showing about the moon, and the candles would signify that. Not to the 1700s did we have birthday candles on a cake, signifying one for each year of the birthday. That's a little fun fact there for you. Now, let's talk about making these candles. Wax, very big part to this. I chose to get the soy wax. The reason that I made that decision was because of the fact that soy candles are made from vegetables. Paraffin is made from petroleum. So not only what it's made of, but with the soy candles, they actually burn cleaner. This particular box, I got sort of a kit in a way, and I'll let you know what was in it. What you're going to want to do is, I got on Amazon Prime, I got this, just so you have reference. When you type in candles, candle kit, something like that, be careful how you type it, because if you don't type it correctly, it's going to come up, there were no matches. See what I did? That was so funny. Anyway, so what was included in this kit? And when you do a search and you get what's best for you, I got this included 2 bags. The only reason this is out because I've already measured what I need for this particular candle. So you've got 2 bags of the wax, which is, see how like it's all broken down? Very handy for melting purposes. And then here are the wicks. They're about 6 inches. And this was interesting too. This little piece over here, these little ridges are so that it fits on different jars. Not when you do that, it doesn't. But so if you wanted to have a larger jar, it would expand out to there. And what this simply does is it will hold the wick in place. That's handy because when you pour the wax in, it was doing fine before I started with this. Okay, when you pour the wax in, it'll keep that straight. If you order just the wax and it doesn't come with this, what you can simply do is by having your, because you're going to need a wick, okay. When you have the wick standing there but you don't have this, you can hold it up by either chopsticks is frequently used on this. You can use 2 pencils. You can even use, the more I do it, the more it's like more, anyway. Or you can even use skewers. So a couple things you can use that will help with that. What else do we have? At this point, we're going to be going over and melting the wax. First thing you need to know in order to say, how much do I need? Whatever your container is, and this is a, obviously it can withstand the heat, you're going to need twice the amount of wax. When it melts, it's going to take up less space. So what I did was, before I started saying, hi, I'm Alice, I put in the amount of wax that I wanted, put it into the pan that's going to melt with, filled it up again, filled that. When I went to order it, I just simply did a Google search because I knew how big this was, and I simply put in 16 ounces comparison for how many pounds that equaled. And it told me the approximate amount that I wanted to put in, I needed to order. And I came up with a 2-pound box because that was the smallest amount that they had. I hope that's helpful to you and that it made sense in any sense of where. All right, so let's go over there and we're going to start having the wax melted. Couple of easy steps, because although I'm just going to do a plain simple candle this time, you're going to be able to, if you want, at the point where you're melting, you can take some chopped up crayons, maybe 12 to 15, depending on the size that you've got. Mix that in with your wax if you want a different color. As soon as it's actually going to be fully melted, that's if you have a fragrance that you want to add to it, that would be your time to add those oils to that. So you've got plenty of options. Let's go melt that wax. Okay, so I've got it set up under a double boiler. There's a basic pan. Water is in here that's boiling slowly. It is not touching the base of this glass pan. You can use any glass pan that, I just happen to have a pie plate, so I know it's good for the heat, and that it spreads it out a little bit. And what I'll do is it's just starting to melt now. I'll continue just to move it around a bit until it's all melted. They're saying temperature reading of about 140, and then it's all you're gonna happen is to pour it in. And believe it or not, at that point, it'll sit until it's cool, and then we've got a candle. So stay tuned. Okay, so it took about 7 minutes, not bad, to melt all of that. I then took it off of the heat and let it cool for about 10 minutes. What I did was I poured it, which was easy to pour, into a measuring cup because it wasn't going to simply from the cake pie plate, just pour into here. And then this can go right into here. So I can hold this down, pour this in. The wick is staying, at least from the top, in place. This amount looks just right. So that turned out well. And this is going to take a couple of hours to actually fully harden. If you leave a little bit left, just in case the top doesn't turn out well, I don't see why it wouldn't. But in case it doesn't, you could pour another part over. A couple of safety hints. First off, if you're lighting a candle, make sure that you are keeping it out of the reach of children, of pets, away from windows.
Your husband.
You know your house, what you have to do. There's something called tunneling. If you notice, sometimes when you actually light a candle, that it just burns around the wick and it sort of goes into a little deep hole. That's where the wax will melt and the top layers stay. The first time you actually light your candle, what you're going to do is keep it lit for a while, meaning maybe an hour or two, depending on the size of the candle or more, so that that top layer melts. When that top layer fully melts across, that's going to give you a better lighting in the future and cut down on the tunneling part. The wick, this wick is too high. With any wick, when the time comes and it hardens, you're going to cut it down to about only a 1/4 inch. Each time you light it and it burns, at the end of that, when the wick is cool, you're gonna make sure that it's down to the 1/4 inch also. Although when I was looking around at ways to do candles, no one really talked about cleaning the pieces that the, like with the double boiler, that top piece that the wax actually went in. But what occurred to me is that make sure you're very careful in cleaning that. Maybe, you know, with a paper towel that you can throw out, because you don't want the melted wax to go down your kitchen sink or any of your other pipes. Not a good idea. So that's a little helpful hint that I thought of myself. Basically, you can add, what I'm gonna do is, I don't light my candles. I know you're saying like, why are you doing this? Right, it sounds a little weird, but I don't like, I'm just not into that part of it. The candle that's on my table, I've had for about 25 years. Call me, it's not really frugal, it's just, I just don't. But anyway, with this, what I'm gonna do with this one is, Memorial Day weekend's coming up, so that I don't have to worry about the actual light or anything like that. I'm just gonna take a nice red, white, and blue ribbon and just tie it around and put it on the table where, you know, food will be served. So there's a couple of things you can do for it. And don't forget, if you want to take this another step further, you want me to do something else candle-wise, it's a little more elaborate, let me know in those comments. I think this was easy. Once again, hadn't done it before. Look how quick that went. The other part is the drying time. So enjoy and hope to see you next week.